that, threatens the ball carrier, that's the guy you take. Not number so-and-so or whatever position. And that's exactly how you are going about your run blocking anytime there's a run called to the outside. So please, Zach, that's all it is. It's not that hard. You can do it. You got the skills. You're athletic enough. You're strong enough. Just apply this, okay? So then finally on the offensive line, then we'll be all done with the offense here. Offensive line as a unit played excellent, primarily again because our week one idiot offensive coordinator Norv Turner decided to be the two-time Super Bowl champ offensive coordinator Norv Turner last week, and actually play call sensibly with no other game plan in mind than to win the game and make the best use of your unique pieces that you have, which went from, like I said, going from Adrian Peterson having 10 carries to having just under 30. What that does for your offensive line, I told you last week before the game on Sunday. Being an offensive line, especially a new, yet to be proven offensive line where you've got a rookie and a career backup and a left guard that's always played right guard and a left tackle coming off of 2 bad years and a right guard that shouldn't even be our starting right guard and is really young, but whatever, that's what we got. They played great, and in my opinion, the one who played the best of them all was my main man, Joe Double Cheeseburger. They're filling in for the injured John Sullivan at center. Watching the tape last night, Joe Berger was phenomenal. He had 2, possibly 3 offensive plays the entire game that he did not get an acceptable grade. One was a poor snap that didn't cost the team. One was a block that, someone shot through him, and it really wasn't even his fault. It was play design more than anything, but technically it was his assignment, and if you can't make your assignment, if you're an offensive lineman and you can't make your pre-snap assignment, then you need to look to the guy to the left of you or look to the guy to the right of you and tell them that you can't do that, and then you change the blocking scheme accordingly. But honestly, Joe Berger at center was the best offensive lineman the Vikings had. Fusco played fairly well. Still some learning curves, though, it appeared like, for him, getting used to that new side as well. I did see a few mental errors or, imperfections, if you will, that could be easily corrected and just need to be quickened up, tightened up. Khalil had a great game outside of a penalty or two. Played, again, extremely well for the most part. And then you had your right side, which played better. Mike Harris definitely played better, although he's still the worst offensive lineman on that offensive line by far, okay? It's not Berger. Berger's not the problem. It's not Clemmings. Clemmings is not the problem. The problem, anytime there's a problem, is either play calling or Mike Harris. Mike Harris cannot pass block to save his life. First off, if you're lined up anywhere other than directly across from him, he can't get to you. Boom, you buy him. Done. If he does line up directly across from you, then all they need is a bull rush, and Mike Harris just gets stood up and pushed back like a little punk. Like, it's sad. But his run blocking was fairly good, fairly consistent all night. Graded out really, really good overall in the run blocking. Both him and TJ Clemmings, just a few small missed assignments, here and there in the run game for both of those guys. But when it comes to pass protection, Clemmings is getting better, and he does have what it takes to get the job done when he figures it out. Mike Harris does not look like he has what it takes physically to get the job, even if he did figure it out when it comes to pass blocking. So, but still, way, way, way big improvement. And again, thank you, Norv Turner. When you got an offensive line like this, you got to call run plays so that they can get running north and south, so that they're initiating the contact, moving forward, driving the defensive line and the linebackers. San Francisco, they never had a chance, and I said that after San Francisco, because they were constantly on their heels, because Norv was so damn freaking pass happy for some insane reason that no one has yet to figure out. You know? So just let this offensive line be an offensive line. You establish the run. That gets your offensive line going. That gets the ground game going. That gets your time of possession going. It gets your field possession going as well. It gets so many things working for you. It makes everything easier for the rest of the game if you get the running game up and running to start the game. If you focus on getting that passing game going first and you're unsuccessful, a lot of times that's it. And, that turned out to be the case in Monday night. So just please focus on always establishing the run and the physicality of our line first and foremost as an offensive game plan, and then go from there. If that's not working, you can go heavier pass, or if that's working and you want to use play action and that type of stuff, great. But you can't come out with the intent to focus on establishing your passing game. That is a recipe for losing football on any level in any year ever. And so that was my take on the Vikings offense. A little more detailed and lengthier than I intended. My bad. But anyway, so let's get to the defense, and then we will move on to all the non-Vikings related football. Again, that's why I start the show out with this, because I am genuinely the most on fire about my Minnesota Vikings coming off of their phenomenal week, which followed an embarrassment of a week. I bleed purple and gold. I can't help it. So to the defensive side of the ball, play calling was much better as well, although it wasn't as big of a problem in week one as the offensive play calling was in week one. Defensive play calling in week one, I said it, was not bad. It wasn't it was still flawed in too many occasions, but wasn't the reason for losing by any means. But so the play calling continued to be good on the defensive side of the ball, but not great, but pretty good. We did a lot better job of having our D line stunting and slanting to the play side, that Amir Abdullah is running to or whatever. We did a really good job of that. It seemed like anytime he was going to the left, our defense was already all going to the left anyway, or vice versa or whatever. The pursuit just seemed, more set up to succeed this week. So I think I put that on the coaching. That's good game planning, good play calling, studying your opponent and knowing what their different looks are, what they like to do, and calling accordingly. And when you get it right, it makes it a heck of a lot easier for your players to execute. When you call the wrong play to go up against what your opponent has called, it makes it extremely hard, sometimes impossible, for your players to execute. That's why you need to realize what the cause of these plays are. If you're wondering, you need to understand, well, was that the result of bad play calling, or was that the result of failure to execute? 9 times out of 10 in the NFL, it's bad play calling. These players are all as highly trained and highly athletic and skilled and experienced, and trained as it gets. So generally it's not failure to execute, because all these guys are programmed to execute all the time. They have been for a long time, many years of their lives. So like I said, it's usually a play calling thing. But anyway, to get to the players, the defensive line played fantastic. Brian Robison, he came out of 2011 last week, and just destroyed the place. He was wreaking havoc. Huge props to Zimmer for calling plays that put him in the right place, you know. But also he did a phenomenal job. He showed explosiveness off the line and a motor during plays that I haven't seen him play with. I don't remember, you know, at least sometime a year or two ago. But so he was great. Everson Griffin was great as always. The biggest improvement on the D line would have been the defensive tackles. Both Linval Joseph and Sharif Floyd had excellent games at D tackle. All four of those guys just destroyed Matthew Stafford, beat him up. It was all over his face, his body language. Half of the third and most of that fourth quarter, he was just out there on a, you know, I'll throw the ball away, don't hit me, you know, type of thing. Like, just get this game over with so I can stop getting hit, you know, type of deal. But, I mean, he's a tough guy, to his credit. He always gets back up and goes and plays, but whines about everything, cries about everything. But our D-line just beat him up, and a lot of that was because not only were the ends getting to him, but those huge bodies in the middle, Sharif Floyd and Linval Joseph, were getting hits on him too. And most of the people here in Minnesota were praising Linval Joseph mostly. When I went back and watched the tape last night, I thought Sharif Floyd was arguably the best defensive lineman in the game out of all four of them. You know, I reluctantly or you know, hesitantly, I should say, I would give that nod slightly to B-Rob. But Sharif Floyd, boy, when you watch the film, he makes one heck of an argument. He played out of his mind. Then in the linebacking core, we continued to have, you know, fairly good, predictable play from both Barr and Kendricks. Barr using his athleticism and explosiveness to blow up plays and finish plays. Still has room to improve on reading and dissecting plays. Kendricks actually seems to have some really good instincts on reading and dissecting plays and knowing where to be, you know, before he needs to be there. Anyway, you know, but he's looking at two, but he's not jumping off the screen like he was in the preseason, but you don't expect that from him at this point in his rookie year. And you want to see a complete team effort. You don't want to see one guy just dominating, really. You want to see the whole team, the whole unit, that whole, you know, each core group succeeding. And then my man, my family friend, Gerald Hodges Jr. was one of, you know, like how I said Joe Berger was my man on the O-line from week 1 to week 2. That was the huge improvement, and, you know, everybody wanted to rip, and holy cow. Gerald Hodges on defense, not that he played terrible at all in the 49er game, but he was very lacking any impact on the game whatsoever when he was on the field. And then this week, not only did he make an impact, but he was playing every play pretty much right on. He was getting off those blocks. He was getting to the ball. You know, he was setting himself up in the right place and making the right reads pre-snap. It was just, he was one of the most improved players. So another one of my hidden unsung hero stars for the Vikes. And then wrapping up with the secondary, of course, you've got Harrison Smith playing great as always. Huge forced fumble, guys. Harrison Smith is a stud. Sendejo starting again at safety, I did not agree with that. He did do better. You know, he does have that physicality, like he can lay some wood. He can lay some wood. Yeah, I got my wood too. But you know, he can hit, he can tackle. He's, like I said, I really like Sendejo on special teams quite a bit. But I just don't trust him in coverage at all. And, you know, he's only 50-50 on the run support from a, you know, play recognition and getting in the right place at the right time standpoint. But he did better. I don't trust him, but he did better. That was nice to see. Xavier Rhodes, phenomenal game. Did a great job on Calvin Johnson, even though Calvin Johnson had a good amount of yards and quite a few receptions, really had little to no impact on the game. And then you had my